What's going on, filmmakers? I'm Alexander Don, and today I'm going to take you behind the scenes on a VR commercial part 3. Sadly, I can't show you the full commercial due to copyright, but as you can see, I put together some of the shots I filmed for it, and if you want to see the full commercial, there's the link in the description below. If this is your first time watching this, I want to let you know that there's also part 1 and part 2 from this series, so I advise you to watch that as well. As for now, we're going to deep dive into my cinematography for the scenes you just watched. First thing first, let's start with the gear I used. My camera of choice for this project was Sony FX6 with autofocus primes, which I used for handheld, and a DJI Ronin RS2 with Sony a7S III paired with autofocus primes as well as my gimbal setup. The reason why I used 2 cameras was because of a very limited time frame, where basically I had to film 10 different scenes in one day. And I had to shoot as much as I can so we can use footage from these scenes all along the year for different type of campaigns. Because of this limited time frame, I had to make some compromises in terms of cinematography, and I couldn't light exactly the way I wanted. But because I used the top of the line equipment and lighting from Nanlite, it made everything so much easier. The lights that I used were Nanlite MixPanel 150 with softbox and a grid, Forza 500, Forza 60B with projector lens, and a bunch of PavoTubes. Now let's start with the first scene. First scene was quite easy to light. I used my Nanlite MixPanel 150 placed at a side angle from the subject, and I also used a Forza 500 to bounce it into the ceiling for a little bit of feel in the room. And this worked as a side light as well on my subject. In the back, I had a practical light which looked really good, and to create the blind effect on the back, which you see, I used my Forza 60B with the projector lens and a gobo filter that mimics blinds. To visualize my lighting a little bit better, I did this lighting scheme so you can see exactly where my lights were placed. After my lighting was done, I shot as much as I can, and then I moved to scene number 2. Scene number 2 is a very good example on how you can change a space only by changing the lighting. I lit the scene using the Nanlite MixPanel 150, which was set on HSI blue color. I kept my practical light on, and I started to add a lot of PavoTubes into the room. And I set them on different colors to create mood. But the colors were really good fought, so I don't have really big contrast and the colors don't mix up. So the colors looked good together. I also had my Forza 60B on for a few shots, but then I realized it looks better without it, and I switched it off. Overall, I think the setup is quite simple and it looks really good. By the way, I graded this footage using my own LUTs, which as you can see produce an amazing result. The best thing about these LUTs is that they work with just a simple click. No need to work on your image more, and I think it helps you maximize your time spent on post-production. So this is how I color grade nowadays, only apply my LUTs, no need to make special adjustments or anything like that, and I'm super happy with the results. For the next scene, we switched on the other side of the room and we lit a little bit similar with the previous scene, but we used the colors of the lights a little bit different in order to create a different mood. I still had my MixPanel 150 as a key light, but I distributed the PavoTubes different in the room in order to create a diverse look. I also did some slow motion shots just to have as much diversity as I can, and overall I'm super happy with how this looks. Moving on to scene number 4, which was done in the same room as well. Same lighting, but a different lighting placement. My key light is again MixPanel 150, and it's set at 45 angle from the camera to give a little bit more contrast for the subject. In the background, I have 3 PavoTubes, and I worked on the colors so I generate a totally different look than the previous scene. I think the last three scenes show a very good example on how good it's to have lights that can do multiple things at the same time, like having CCT, HSI, and special effects. And this allows you to work faster and save a lot of time on set. And I personally shot all the following scenes you see in just 6 hours by myself. I did a setup of the lights, I filmed and direct and did everything. With all this being said, I hope you enjoyed this behind the scenes series. And if you did, let me know what other series you would like to see me do on this channel. Also make sure to subscribe so I can keep on doing more and more. Thanks all for watching. I'm Alexander Don and I want you to get out there and create some epic content. Cheers.